Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's July 23rd, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. If you look closely, you can kind of see this ridge that's nosing into our area. It's going to bring us a bit of a warm up here for a day or two, but we got another system here on the backside of this ridge that's going to be flattening things out. It's going to bring the onshore flow back on and cool us back down a bit. And then we're going to take a look at some interesting changes as we go on in through next week. We got the Gulf of Alaska low likely to return, and it could bring some interesting weather towards the Pacific Northwest. So more on that here in the extended forecast as we go through the video here today. But I did want to pass this on. You guys, thanks very much. We're up over 20 million views since this channel has been created way back in June of 2021. I really didn't start doing regular briefings until we got to about December of that year. But yeah, we did it. 20 million views, and you can see the watch hour subscribers. We're getting close to 100,000 there. So again, thanks to everybody who tunes in on a daily basis, all my paying members. This channel is not possible without you. So let's take a look here at the visible satellite imagery. This is right now, and you can see we do have some of this marine layer intruding into the Puget Sound, into some of the I-5 corridor there between Olympia and down towards Kelso, but not for Portland or the Willamette Valley. However, the Oregon coast, the Washington coast are pretty well socked in. So we're going to back us all the way up to yesterday, and you can see the marine layer. So a couple things. Watch the marine layer and then watch the thunderstorms develop across some of the region. And if we go through the day, you'll see, oh, there we go, lightning strike right near Spokane there. And then you see a few other lightning strikes eventually start to pop up here across portions of Montana. Look at that marine layer burn off here as we went through the morning hours. We go off in through the day yesterday. You see some of the Cascades kicking off, some storms again near Spokane, some in northeast Washington, and across some of the higher terrain of southwestern Idaho there. And there's the Treasure Valley here. And again, you can see thunderstorms ongoing across some of the Rocky Mountains. And that continued on in through the day yesterday, and then we went through the nighttime hours. Look at this, pretty close to Ritzville. Not great for dust devil chasing, but I digress. That is good for the farmers out there. Getting a little bit of rainfall at this time of year definitely can't hurt things, and of course, unless it's starting fires. Then we went through the nighttime hours, and you see right after sunset, even still some thunderstorm activity there across eastern Washington. It continued on near Yellowstone, eastern Idaho, portions of Wyoming, and western Montana. So we scroll back in through the day today, and again, you can kind of see where we are now. The marine layer already starting to burn off across much of the region. We're going to warm some of these temperatures up, especially if you get away from the immediate coastal areas. Now, taking a look here, this is lightning strike density over the last 24 hours. You can clearly see where the thunderstorms kind of lined up with what we just looked at there. Nothing for western Washington or western Oregon. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we've got this ridge, like I mentioned, and you could see that on the infrared satellite imagery, nosing in across the area, warming us up a bit. But you see, it doesn't last long. As we go through the day Thursday, really starts to flatten out, and that ridge really gets out of dodge here, pushes off to the west. We get this trough again hanging on through the weekend coming up. And as you can see, no big heat dome or anything like that. And you can also see what is the Gulf of Alaska trough start to get reestablished here as we go through the weekend and on into early next week. Big ridge across center portions of the USA, deep trough across the Gulf of Alaska, and this could also be spreading some interesting systems up our way. These weak little short waves, it doesn't take much. Some southerly defluence aloft could bring some thunderstorm activity even west of the Cascades. I'm a little bit ahead of myself here. It's still in fantasy land, but some of the models are showing it, and they're starting to get into a little bit better agreement. So I'll show you more on that here in a moment. But this is the positive, their Pacific North American oscillation positive. This is where we're going. We have been in the negative where we've got the ridge dominating with the ridge over the western Canada there. But this is where we're going as we get the Gulf of Alaska trough returned. And you can see on the flip side of that where the ridge is out over the Pacific Ocean. Now, taking a look at composite reflectivity as we go through the day today, and just kind of driving home the point that we may have a few stray showers BC, maybe for northeast Washington, maybe one shower or two going off across southeast Oregon, but we do get a bit of a break here as we go through the day today. But tomorrow, watch out. See this stuff riding up out of the south there across southern Oregon? That's thunderstorm potential as well. Could be some fire starts with that activity as we go through Thursday afternoon through Thursday evening, so watch out for that. And then at the very end of the run, you can kind of see some of this precipitation showing up as we start to get the next trough as we go go on in through the day Friday. So I took a look here at a weather station. There's Ritzville, Washington. Moses Lake is right there. There's Spokane, more weather stations around. And you can see Ellensburg off to the left. There's Wenatchee. There's Lake Chelan out there. But I narrowed in on this station yesterday. And as you can see, they did get those lightning strikes rolling through. What about the 7, 8, 9 p.m. period? So if you saw any of that, leave some of the comments down below or on the Patreon page. Send me some images if you saw anything. So, I mean, the precipitation is beneficial. Hopefully it didn't start any fires out there, though. And you can also see as we go through the day today, breezy winds, increased fire concern. This is for today, and I believe on in through Friday. Yes, it is. Actually, this is just for Thursday and Friday. Today is Wednesday. But again, just be careful out there. The winds are starting to pick up in the wake of this system as it moves across our area. Now, looking at Medford, Oregon, National Weather Service fire weather watch. That is because of the thunderstorm activity that I just talked about. And this really gets going here as we go through the day on Thursday. So heads up. You see Silver Lake, Crater Lake are included in that, Klamath Falls as well. Now, taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center, this does include Southern Oregon for today. A little bit of that activity there, but as we get through tomorrow into Eastern Oregon, we got that thunderstorm activity going a little bit stronger. And I want to point out some of these winds. So as we go through the afternoon today, you can kind of see these westerlies coming off the Cascades, and the winds pick up during the afternoon and the evening hours. You can see them spread across eastern Washington, where it is much drier than it is west of the Cascades. And then as we go through the day Thursday as well, you can see these winds really ramping up here. And of course, anything that starts out there could spread rapidly across the region. So heads up for that as we're dealing with some increased wind activity here over the next couple of days. Now, I talked about that Gulf of Alaska low and the trough really getting going, and some of the shortwave activity coming up here, the southerly defluence aloft. You get the defluence aloft means more convergence down low, which could bring some lightning potentially. You see this for western Oregon, western Washington. Goes without saying that would bring some storms across the Cascades and potentially east of the mountains as well. So this is very early Thursday morning. We're looking way off into the forecast. So still, this is a fantasy forecast, but this has been showing up in the run-to-run models over the last couple of days. And if I go through Thursday later morning hours, you see some of this thunderstorm activity across some of western Washington, the Olympic Mountains, it would include Seattle as well, and eastern Washington up through BC, portions of Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. So interesting stuff. It's that time of the year where we can get some of this activity. And why is that? Well, again, I mentioned that Gulf of Alaska trough, and the European ensemble mean here, the gold standard, does show that weak little shortwave moving up here as we go through next week. So just something fun to watch right now, just something to think about. No need to get too concerned about it just yet, but we will be watching it on a daily basis, so check back daily for that. Now, if we take a look at the deterministic, you see pretty good model agreement as we go through the day Wednesday. You see just that little tiny blurb moving up there. That's all it would take to kick some thunderstorms off, potentially west of the Cascades. Now we take a look at the GFS as well. You can see that it has the Gulf of Alaska trough. It has this system. That trough's extended a little bit further off in towards California, but it does have that similar setup there where it could bring some activity back up across the Pacific Northwest. So again, that's about as good agreement as you're going to see at this time range, and we're just going to watch that here over the next few days. Now back to where we are, back to reality. No more fantasy here for at least the next few minutes. And we take a look at the daily 2-meter max temperature. This is Wednesday, July 23rd today. Look at this warming up pretty nicely, especially as that marine layer burns off during the day today. You want to beat the heat, get out to the Washington and the Oregon coast, but if you go back into the Willamette Valley, you can be expecting some temperatures get back into the low 90s. Look at Medford checking in at 96, really the hot spot here across much of the area. Some mid 90s for the Tri-Cities. Yakima warming up as well. Southwest BC, look at that, 82 once you get away from the water, back into the valley areas. Okanagan River Valley, you can see the heat there as well. But we go through Thursday, we cool things down a little bit here for western Washington, western Oregon. We warm it up just a little bit here for eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, out towards Boise, 94 degrees. And then we go through Friday, cooling things down even more as we get this troughing, suppressing the temperatures a bit more across the region. And then as we go on in through next week, who knows what's going to happen then. We'll just kind of take it day by day as we get a little bit closer. And the 15-day precipitation anomaly, just kind of showing this on a daily basis. And you can kind of see a little bit of above average starting to creep into Oregon there, but still that below normal signal there across a lot of western BC and western Washington as we go on into the first week of August. Now, 6 to 10 day, there's the above normal signal here as we go towards the end of the month, and who knows about that? We'll see. Just kind of showing you this to compare with what I just showed you on the European. And this above normal signal, I don't know. You take that with a grain of salt. Look, they even have a little tiny squirt of below normal signal right on the Washington coast. And anyway, if you want to buy that weather station that I mentioned, picked up those lightning strikes there near Ritzville, Washington yesterday. This is a very fun one. I'm testing 2 of these at my house as we speak. It's so easy to set up. You just flip a switch. My mom was able to set it up, and she usually has some difficulty with this stuff. So yeah, fun weather station out there. Now, one more thing here. Looking at the Patreon page, you guys can go to the community tab, and yeah, Pacific Northwest Update and Fantasy Fun. You can see all my daily updates here. You can go to the community tab here as well, and you can leave images and whatnot, or you can get involved in the chat out there. People have been sending images over the last few weeks or so. So anyway, what else? Big zoom out there. Yeah, click like and subscribe. We will do this all again tomorrow, and we'll watch some of that fantasy forecast to see if it sticks with us or whatnot. And yeah, I guess I will talk to you guys then.